The next morning, Sonia woke up to the smell of something buttery and burnt. When she opened her eyes, Javier was standing over the bed like he belonged there and setting a plate down next to her pillow. "What is this?"
I told you, you don't have to keep cooking. I want you to relax.
She pushed herself up against the pillows, eyes sliding down from him to the plate of eggs, if you could call them that. They somehow looked dry and greasy at the same time. She thought about taking the tiniest nibble, but he was staring at it with pride, waiting for her to taste. So she took a regular bite, but she couldn't help herself from making a face as she chewed slow.
What's wrong?
Nothing, just crunchy. He took a bite himself, then his whole face twisted up.
Sorry about that.
Sonia laughed, climbing out of bed. "Thanks for trying, but I like to cook." He scooped up the plate, following her downstairs, and just 10 minutes later, the burnt butter smell in the kitchen was replaced by the smell of Sonia's delicious breakfast. She handed him a plate with a smile that said, "This is what eggs are supposed to look like." On the way into the living room, they heard it. Something outside, the sound slow and deliberate. Not the wind or trees, something much heavier. A crunch. Javier was already looking back at Sonia when it came again, louder and closer this time. They both froze, eyes locked on each other's. Then he sat his plate on the couch and headed for the door. Sonia trailed behind him, watching as he moved to the window beside the door. He slid 2 fingers under the curtain, peeled it back for a second, then he let it drop. With a tight jaw, he moved to the tall table in the entryway, turned the key in the lock with a quick twist, then slid a gun out the drawer. Sonia moved to the window, and outside she saw Tony. He was bent over Javier's car with his palms cupped to the glass, squinting through the dark tint. Her stomach dropped. "Javier, that's my co-worker. He's just here looking for me. Let me go, and we'll just leave."
Stay here.
He commanded in a low, stern tone. "You said you wanted to undo everything that happened to me. Undo all the pain you caused? But if you hurt him, you'll be doing the same thing to somebody else's family." Her eyes were watering as she pleaded, but his eyes had gone empty again. Instead of responding, he just left out the door, closing it softly behind him and creeping out into the cold. She returned to the window, heart racing as she watched Javier. He was stepping behind Tony with his gun drawn, eyes locked on his target like he already knew how things were going to end. Then, out the corner of her vision, Sonia saw movement in the tree line. She got a glimpse of Nate in a dark hoodie, gun steady and aimed right at the back of Javier's head. There was a pause, a small adjustment, and then a shot. The sound so loud, Sonia could feel the blast inside her own head. She squeezed her eyes shut as ringing buzzed in her ears, then opened them to see Javier on the move, running quickly into the woods, gun no longer in his hand. He was clutching his arm as Nate lined up his shot. But by then, it was too late. Javier ducked between the trees and had already disappeared into the woods. From behind Javier's car, Tony pushed up from the ground where he dug for cover. He moved fast toward the spot where Javier dropped the gun, scooping it up before the snow could swallow it whole. Nate stood stuck, like he was thinking about going after Javier, but his attention seemed to be pulled toward the house. Sonia didn't think. Her body just moved fast, out the door into the freezing cold and right into Nate's arms. He caught her mid-run, pulling her tight against his chest as she started to sob, shoulders shaking as she buried her teary eyes into his chest.
"Everything is okay,"
he assured her as she clung to him tight, Like if she let go, somebody would drag her back into that house and the nightmare would start up all over again. Within minutes, the three were in an Escalade, the snow whipping up from the tires as Nate guided the wide SUV down the skinny, winding path. His gaze shifting from the dense woods to Sonia in the rearview. She sat in the back, half listening as Nate and Tony murmured, their voices muffled beneath blasting heat and the grind of tires over snow. She couldn't catch much until she made out Tony's words cutting through the noise. He asked her they take her to the precinct first or to the hospital for a kit. Like a rape kit? She asked. Javier didn't touch me, and I don't want to go to the precinct.
We need to file a report.
Nate spoke without looking back. What good is that gonna do? You don't think Louise can get him out of a small town jail when he got you out of a foreign one? Sonia wiped a tear. We'll get him for the kidnapping when we go to the feds for the murder. Both men spoke at once, asking her, what murder? Javier killed my father. This time Nate did look back, turning slightly to glance at her over his shoulder before turning back to the road. He killed my father and Rico shot me. Her voice dropped. We do go to the feds about Rico too, but I'm pretty sure he's already dead.
Who killed Rico?
Tony asked. Javier. He shot him after they got into a fight. I overheard them talking about the shooting, then Javier brought me here. Her voice cracked, then Nate's jaw tightened, and for the rest of the ride, no one said another thing. Less than an hour later, they were pulling into a little airfield. Nothing fancy, just fences, cracked pavement, and a couple of jets sitting out like somebody's toys left in the snow. Nate returned the keys to the rental spot, then Sonia trailed behind them across the frozen tarmac, her house shoes crunching on the frozen ground. Next thing she knew, she was stepping up a set of metal stairs and onto a sleek white jet. A wave of heat wrapped around her as she walked into the cabin where soft golden lights seemed dimmed on purpose just for her. But the whole setup was tailored just to put her at ease. She slid into one of those fat leather seats, tilted her head back, and within a few minutes the little jet was lifting off. Across the aisle, Nate was quiet, looking out the window completely still, gone somewhere in his head. Tony sat across from him, head leaned back, eyes shut, but he wasn't sleeping. He had the exhausted look of a man ready to be back in his own bed, like his mind was on making it back to Teresa while we're playing his close call with Javier. Nate must have felt Sonia looking, because at the exact moment her eyes moved back to him, he turned, catching her wiping a tear from the corner of her eye.
You sure you good?
He asked, voice low. Yeah, she said, voice cracking anyway. I'm just so happy the two of you came looking for me. I really didn't think anybody would. Javier told everybody I was away at some retreat, so nobody will come looking for me. Tony cracked an eye open.
That's what everybody told Nate when he went around asking. But he wasn't buying it. Kept saying he felt like something was off.
Sonia looked back at Nate, who didn't say a word, but he didn't have to. His eyes had a heaviness to him that told her whatever fear she had been feeling, he had been carrying too. How did you even find that place? I never saw the address, not once. Nate told her how close he came to walking away. He'd been getting ready to leave Javier's brownstone, chalk it all up to a bad hunch. Then he noticed the voicemail light blinking, and curiosity made him play it. Most of it was junk, but one message stuck out. Somebody from DirecTV trying to upsell Javier on a second line for his Brooklyn address, too. Nate said that sent him digging. He went through the stack of takeout menus and bills piled up beneath the mail slot, looking through all of them until he found the satellite bill, opened it up, and finally found the upstate address. Nate said that was all he needed. Next, he made the call to an old producer friend named Tim, asking to use his jet. Sonia shook her head in disbelief. "Thanks for coming to get me." Her eyes bounced between their faces. "And I'm so glad nothing happened to you two." She blinked away tears. When Javier went outside with that gun, going after Tony, I thought. She cut herself off to take a deep breath. Then Tony flashed a small smile, saying,
"Don't worry about it, kid. Me and Nate can handle ourselves. And of course we can. You're part of the crew, and we don't leave our people behind."
Soon, snow-covered fields gave way to neat rows of toy houses as the plane closed in over the city. The closer they got to the Bronx, the heavier Sonia's chest felt. Back at the lake, she prayed nonstop to get back home. Now all she wanted to do was tell the pilot to turn the plane around and fly in the opposite direction. With Javier loose and Rico unaccounted for, going back home felt less like relief and more like stepping into a cage. She looked over at Nate, exhaling deep. "How long do you have this jet for?" His eyes locked in on hers, picking up on her actual question underneath it instantly.
Tim is headed back to Virginia tonight. Why, what's up? You thinking about leaving?
Not leaving. Just thinking of going somewhere else for a little while. He got it without her having to spell it out. Nate gave her a nod, and just like that, some of the weight lifted off of her chest.
And an exclusive signed and personalized Peter Max poster.
Stepping into her house, the smell of home hit Sonia first. Like warm cotton and dryer sheets. A familiar cozy scent that was like being wrapped up in a clean towel after a hot bath. Gloria was standing in the living room folding laundry. She was turning to sit a folded sweater onto the coffee table when her eyes landed on Sonia. A wide smile spread across her face. But before she could even get a word out, Sonia already had her arms around her, hugging her mother tight.
"Welcome back."
Gloria laughed, squeezing her. But after a minute of Sonia not letting go, Gloria pulled back just enough to get a good look at her daughter's face, her mother's intuition already buzzing.
"You all right? You hugging me like somebody died."
"I'm good," Sonia said quickly, but her voice was softer than usual. "I just missed you." Then Gloria's eyes slid over to the quiet storm standing beside her daughter.
"And how have you been, Nate?"
I've been good. You okay?
He asked, voice slow and serious.
"Yeah, outside of my daughter falling off the face of the earth."
She laughed nervously. "I'm sorry, Ma."
"Don't be. Worrying is a mother's full-time job."
Then her smile faded as she looked between the two of them.
"What's going on?"
Sonia glanced at Nate, then took a deep breath. "I gotta leave again, but just for a little while."
"Where you going?"
"Down to Yanni's in Virginia." Gloria's eyebrows lifted.
"When about school? You already missed a couple of weeks."
"Nate's sister is gonna talk to the registrar for me." I'm going to withdraw this semester. Gloria sighed and was about to ask more, but before she could speak, Sonia was asking her to sit down. Then Sonia took a deep breath and let it all out, piece by painful piece. By the time she was finished, the light in Gloria's eyes had vanished.
What? Javier?
Sonia nodded, eyes watering. Gloria hugged her again, tighter this time. No more words, just a firm grip. Sonia was sure her mother was going to fight the idea of leaving the Bronx. But after Nate suggested she stay in his place out in Queens, so she wouldn't be alone in the house with Javier on the loose, Gloria didn't put up a fight. She just nodded, then stood up and said with a weary look,
I think that would be a good idea. I could stay out there until the cops find him.
That's when Nate spoke up and told her to rest. They wouldn't be waiting on the cops to arrest Javier, because that was never going to happen. Luis had paid the cops to look the other way on Gary's case, and most of them were in his pocket. Then Nate assured her that he was building a case, and once he had enough evidence, he would take it to the feds. Until then, she needed to keep everything under wraps and not speak to anyone about the case. Gloria went into her room to pack, and Sonia did the same. She quickly swooped up her Bible, then snatched up a few clothes, stuffing them into her bag. She stopped her rush packing after opening her drawer, and something gold caught her eye. She stared down at her old nameplate and began to smile. The feeling was bittersweet, pain and happiness filling her heart all at the same time. She missed her father, she always would, but even in the pain, some joy rose in her chest. Gratitude that God had let her have him for as long as she did. After she quickly placed the nameplate into her bag, her eyes moved down to the dark blue box in the drawer. She popped it open, pulling out the wooden cross, eyes moving over the Arabic. Then, just like that, everything inside her settled, and she felt completely calm. A peace washed over her that no man, no trouble, and no fear could shake. She slowly slipped the necklace on, and the cross laid against her chest like armor. No longer rushing, she picked up her bag and joined Gloria and Nate in the hall. After a smooth, quiet ride in the Bentley, they arrived in Far Rockaway, where the skyline faded into wide-open sky stretching over the sea. Nate eased the car into the garage, and minutes later, Sonia and Gloria were inside a cream-colored bedroom. Gloria stood at a huge window in the master bedroom, staring out at the waves rolling in, heavy and slow. Her body was there, but her mind was back in the Bronx, replaying the horror story that was just dropped in her lap. Sonia was across the room, keeping her hands busy and unpacking her mother's bags, sliding clothes into a cream-colored dresser as her eyes moved over to her mother with concern. Gloria had been silent since he left the house, so Sonia broke the quiet, speaking in a voice filled with forced cheer. "This place is nice, right?"
It's beautiful.
Gloria laughed, looking back at Sonia.
When Nate suggested I stay at his place, I thought he meant an extra room in his apartment, not a whole apartment in his building.
"I know." Sonia half laughed, eyes moving over the room's perfect decor. It was all soft creams and buttery golds, looking wealthy and light. He used to work in the music industry, then he moved on to real estate. Gloria studied Sonia's strange little smile and started to study her face.
Nate's so nice letting me stay here.
Yeah, he is. His whole family is nice, and they'll be right upstairs if you need anything.
He told me.
And you'll be closer to the airport. No more of that crazy hour-and-a-half commute to work.
Sonny, you act like you're trying to talk me into this. I can already tell this is like paradise. You don't have to convince me.
Gloria stared right through Sonia's calm act.
The question is, are you okay?
Sonia's hands froze over the dresser drawer. I just felt bad for leaving you here after all that. Gloria came closer, her voice dropping.
I'll be fine. It's you I'm worried about. This whole situation just seems so crazy. And you just seem too calm.
Sonia let out a loud laugh, not because what her mother said was funny, but more out of disbelief. I wasn't always like this, Ma. I broke down a lot at that lake house and cried so much. But I prayed, and Jesus helped me make it through. He was there for me the whole time. When I thought I'd lose it, he kept me. She smiled. So yeah, I seemed normal because I already went through the fire. Now, I just need a little more time away from the city, only for a little while. After a short silence, her mother opened her arms and Sonia walked into the hug. Gloria holding her so tight, Sonia could feel every ounce of fear and love mixed up together. Later that night, after another flight on Tim's jet, Sonia and Nate arrived in Virginia. By the time the rental pulled up in front of Yanni's, Sonia was dead tired and running on fumes. As she knocked, Nate stood beside her, scanning the block like some bodyguard she hadn't asked for but was grateful to have. When the door swung open, and Yanni was there all smiles, smelling like vanilla lotion and snatching Sonia into a hug. Before Sonia could even speak, Yanni was waving them in and talking a mile a minute. Inside, the house looked like some glam girly showroom that somebody actually lives in, with plush white sofas, mirrored tables, and pink fluffy throw pillows everywhere. While Yanni disappeared into another room, Sonia and Nate dropped onto the couch, bodies heavy from their long day. Then Yanni called out to them from the back.
I moved out here a few weeks ago, so you came at the perfect time. I've got more than enough space to host a guest.
She returned with a stack of pizza boxes.
I ordered a bunch of food, like we used to do when you come over my mother's house back in the day.
Yanni laughed, sliding the pizzas onto the coffee table. The boxes barely touched the table before Sonia flipped the lid open, tearing into the pizza, then sliding it over to Nate. They devoured 2 whole pies, eating for the first time all day. Meanwhile, Yanni was buzzing, talking fast, and running down a list of fun stuff she had planned for them to do. Obviously, she thought this was going to be some type of girls' trip, instead of Sonia laying low in a safe house. Yanni went on.
I was thinking we'd hit the mall, go to karaoke. Oh, and we are definitely going to this club I know in D.C.
She said, still hyped. As Sonia chomped on another slice, her eyes slid down Yanni's Gucci jumpsuit. Then, finally, she spoke. I see you all dressed up. Trying to go to the club tonight? Yanni waved a dismissive hand, her bracelets jingling.
Girl, no, this is loungewear. I figured we stay in and catch up. I haven't heard from you in a minute and thought you was ignoring me again like you did over the summer.
She said, half joking, half serious. Sonia's eyes met Nate's for a split second before she looked down at the pizza crust in her hand. Then Yanni's face twisted a little as she squinted at Nate.
You used to be on Diamond Cutter Records, right?
Nate nodded and Yanni started laughing.
I knew it. Girl, you didn't tell me your boss was in the industry.
She turned to Sonia, grinning. He's not my boss. We're co-workers. Sonia smiled at Nate, making him smile too. Yanni went on.
Well, anyway, I'm glad your coworker found me last year and helped us reunite. And I'm so happy you came down to visit. It's like I got a piece of home here with me now.
It's real safe out here.
Nate asked, eyes moving around the place like he was Secret Service.
Yeah. Quiet, clean, safe. I love it.
Yanni leaned back with that peaceful look Sonia remembered from her first visit. The same look that made her reach out in the first place. The rest of the night, Yanni did all the talking, mostly about the salon, telling little stories about her clients and employees. Nate didn't say much unless Yanni asked him about the music business, what the stars were like in real life, and who really wrote their own rhymes. Sonia just soaked it all in, her tired body sinking into that couch, and for once, her mind wasn't racing. The sound of Yanni's familiar voice filling the room and Nate's solid presence had Sonia feeling almost normal again. By the time they finished eating and talking, it was pushing midnight. The food and the warm house had everybody's eyelids heavy, and Yanni was the first to call it a night. Yawning dramatically before heading upstairs, the squeak of her Gucci loafers fading behind her door. Sonia leaned back on the couch. Today was so crazy. This morning I was trapped at that lake, then by afternoon I was home in the Bronx. Now we're here.
Yeah, and now you can finally rest. Have some fun waiting down here.
She tried to smile, but her face wouldn't budge.
It's safe and quiet. One of the nicest neighborhoods I've ever seen.
She smiled weakly. Told you it looked fake, like a movie set. Nate's eyes connected with hers.
When you're ready to come back, just call and let me know.
I will. And thanks again for flying down with me. I didn't want to do it alone.
Of course.
She looked down, blinking fast, then lifted her eyes to his, holding back tears. I didn't know if I'd ever see you again, she admitted, voice breaking. The whole time I was at the lake, I hoped you made it out of Syria, but I didn't know. I prayed like crazy, and I'm just happy you're okay. Happy you're finally back. He laughed low, shaking his head.
Only you would be kidnapped and still worry about somebody else.
Then he turned to her, serious again.
And I appreciate you getting me out, even if it meant going to Louise.
She laughed a little. I knew you'd feel some type of way about that, but I didn't care. I had to try.
I ain't gonna lie. I was tight when my sister told me, but I'm glad you did, because I was able to get out, and now we're both safe.
And now we're saying bye again.
Only for a little while, right? Unless you're thinking about moving down here for good.
He asked, half joking, half serious. She smiled, shook her head, and wiped away one last tear. Then Nate reached over, gently taking her hand. His eyes slid down to the rock on her finger, noticing its gleam for the first time all day. And he shot her a look that said, "What is this?" Javier gave it to me, and I can't get it off. Her voice cracked, and tears rushed from her eyes. Nate didn't even flinch. He just calmly grabbed a plastic takeout bag and emptied the napkins onto a pizza box. He worked the thin plastic over her finger like a jeweler, tucking it right under the ring. Then, with one quick, firm tug, the ring popped right off. Sonia hadn't planned on sleeping in, but the next day she ended up stretched out in the bed until noon. The exhaustion from the previous day's drama drained her and she hardly wanted to move.
Hey, Sonny. You good up in here?
Yanni asked, popping into the doorway later that afternoon. More than good. Your house is perfect. Sonia stretched out on a pillow-top mattress like a queen.
Glad you like it.
Yanni said, her smile tightening just a little.
But for real, are you good? You call me out of nowhere, asking to visit, then show up in the middle of the night with your PI boss like you're on a run. You know you can talk to me.
I was going to tell you about it. I just wanted a little time for things to feel regular for a second, and not so heavy. Yanni looked concerned. Then she moved to the bed, all ears. Sonia told her about working on a case to find her father's killer, and Sonia just needing some time away. She mentioned the abduction, but nothing about Rico or Javier. Yanni looked concerned, but didn't push. But Nate is gonna take care of everything, Sonia said quickly, trying to soften it. He's back in New York working on it right now, Sonia said, forcing a bright smile. And I'm so happy you let me come visit. I knew being down here was gonna cheer me up. Yanni caught on and forced some cheer into her voice too.
Right. I got a lot of stuff planned for us. What you want to do first?
Definitely go shopping. I need a phone and some new clothes too. That was all Yanni needed to hear. Just a few minutes later, she was doing Sonia's hair. A quick, temporary fix, just to get Sonia together. She took a pair of scissors to those loose tracks and snipped them from Sonia's hair. Then Yanni threw in some neat French braids, and they were off to the boutiques.
Let me tell you about this girl, maybe I should. I met her in Philly, and her name was Brian. See, we be making love constantly, that's why my eyes are a shade blood burgundy. The way that we kiss isn't like any other way that I be kissing when I'm kissing what I'm missing, won't you listen? Brown sugar, babe, I guess high off your love, I don't know how to be. Close to me, you love me right down to my knees, and whenever you let me hit it, sweet like honey when it comes to me. Skin is caramel with the cocoa eyes, even got a big sister by the name of Chocolate.
After hitting up 3 stores, Sonia was good, but Yanni moved like she was on a mission, grabbing outfits and tossing them at Sonia.
You need this and this. Ooh, and this color looks so good on you.
After a while, Yanni noticed Sonia dragging her feet. This slowed down her little shopping spree.
Sonny, you sure you got enough money? If you don't, you know I got you.
I told you I'm good. I just think I got more than enough. She laughed and added, and they gave me his credit card, told me to get whatever I wanted. Yanni's eyes bugged out.
Nate gave you his credit card.
It's a business card, Sonia said quick, correcting her. But she could already see it, that look in Yanni's eyes, like she had just sniffed out something juicy. Then Yanni broke into a laugh that echoed through the store.
That's sweet of your boss.
Well, the person who took me still has my purse, my bank cards, and my ID too. Yanni's smile vanished, and she was starting to shake her head.
I still can't believe all of that.
I know, but let's not dwell. Sonia smiled weakly, looking through a rack of clothes. What you want to do for the rest of the day? You said you had a whole bunch of fun stuff planned. Yanni plastered her smile back on.
For dinner, I was thinking we would offer your favorite tonight. Go to that sushi spot with the karaoke.
Sonia nodded, and Yanni was back at it, flipping through another rack while already calling dibs on karaoke songs. Later that night, Sonia slipped out of the sushi bar while somebody butchered a Mary J. Blige classic. She called Nate, her voice cheerful and bright, telling him about shopping and being worried she spent too much. He joked about selling a Bentley if she ran a cart dry, making her laugh and roll her eyes. Then she leaned against the brick wall outside the lounge, smiling so hard her cheeks hurt. Thanks again for everything, especially from letting my mother stay in the Harris old apartment.
Sonny, I told you. I'm glad I could help.
Does my mother seem happy there? She sounded okay when I spoke to her earlier, but I don't know.
She's good. My mother went down earlier and the two were talking for hours. She's not here alone. Everything is fine.
Then, before either of them could say anything else, the lounge door swung open and Yanni poked her head out.
Sonny, come on. I want to sing The Boy Is Mine, and you be Brandy.
Nate heard it all through the phone and laughed, telling Sonia to go have fun. And for the first time in a long while, she did. Yanni's salon was completely different from the one Sonia was used to back in the Bronx. It was no raggedy radio blasting Hot 97 or stylists yelling in Spanish over blow dryers. Yanni's staff, dressed chic in all black, spoke in hushed, respectful tones to the sophisticated ladies in their chairs, while light jazz floated from the speakers. All week, Sonia had been playing part-time receptionist, taking messages and offering clients mineral water. Mostly, though, she just sat on the couch in the waiting area, reading her Bible, or catching up on the phone with everybody back home. Anna and Jasmine giving her church updates, and Gloria going on about her fancy new apartment. And every day without fail, Nate would call with updates. Most of the time, though, there wasn't much to update. There was no real news, just a guess that Javier had left the country. Nate had pulled toll booth shots of Javier's car heading north on 95. Said he was last seen in Maine, most likely crossing the border into Canada. For Sonia, it was a relief. There would be no looking over her shoulder when she got back. But then there was the giant question mark of Rico. Nate hadn't heard anything about him, dead or alive. And that silence didn't give Sonia any peace. Instead, it felt like a shadow hanging over her, promising to haunt her until she knew the truth. Saturday night, after Yanni's last client left smelling like expensive shampoo and quiet money, she turned her chair towards Sonia and waved her over. Yanni took down Sonia's braids, scolding her the whole time.
I told you a long time ago to stay away from Hilda's. She fried your hair so bad, it should be considered a hate crime. I gotta take some mentors off.
Sonia winced every time another clump of her hair hit the floor. But when it was all over, she couldn't even be mad. Yanni had rolled her hair into flat twists that swooped up into a smooth updo. But style so neat and perfect, it looked like it should be featured in her hair magazine. Her reflection stared back, polished, grown, elegant. She touched the back of her hair with a smile, feeling put together and beautiful. Then before she could even say thank you, it was like the whole scene flipped. Somebody killed the jazz, and Beyonce's Deja Vu came blasting through the speakers, turning the calm spa scene into a private lounge. The stylists, who were all quality professionals 5 minutes ago, were standing at their stations fixing their hair and applying makeup while pulling stilettos from their bags. A couple of them even changed clothes right there at the stations. That's when Yanni strolled back to Sonia, explaining with a grin that they were going to the club. I'll probably just go back to the house.
No, Sonny, this is the club at DC I was telling you about, and I promised you fun. Remember?
Sonia didn't want to kill the mood by saying that a dark, crowded club was the last place she wanted to be. So she played it off, blaming her clothes. I didn't pack a sack and look like everybody else. Yanni looked her up and down, shrugging at Sonia's librarian outfit. Tweed skirt, buttoned-up blouse, and plain pair of flats. Then Yanni made her face and lied.
That could work at the club.
Club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. And all you fellas leave your girl with her friends. 'Cause it's 11:30 and the club is jumping.
An hour later, Yanni and her crew were out on the dance floor, while Sonia sat in the sidelines sipping her seltzer. The place was wall-to-wall bodies, and Yanni was in the middle of it all, hands in the air, sweat glistening, yelling the lyrics like she'd been training for this moment all week. Sonia didn't hate it like she thought she would. There was actually something excited about just being out, even if she wasn't up dancing. After weeks alone at the lake with Javier, being in the middle of that chaotic club felt good. Just being around people again made Sonia feel like she was back in the real world. That excitement didn't last long, though. Before she knew it, liquor was pumping through everybody's systems, and being sober around a bunch of drunk people was just annoying. Then came the dudes, persistent and bold, with one even sliding into her booth while he lived there, sitting close to Sonia and talking her ear off. She played it quiet though, sipping her bubbles, and already picturing being back in that big soft bed. Then a couple of hours later, that's exactly where she was, and she was asleep the second her head hit the pillow. Sonia thought she'd get some deep sleep after the night she had, but just a few hours later, she popped up, her heart pounding in her chest. She woke up from a dream about Javier. He'd been standing in the doorway of the guest room, just staring, and then his hand moved toward the knob, about to lock her in. She sat up, breathing hard, then scanned the dark room. That old feeling from years ago was back, like those demons in the shadows were watching her all over again. Her heart raced as her eyes darted to the black doorway of the open closet, and she half expected to see him step out. Then she took a deep, shaky breath, reminding herself that she was alone and she was safe. She clutched the small wooden cross at her neck, saying a silent prayer until her heartbeat returned to its normal pace. A couple of months later, it was April, and Sonia was still in Virginia. Living in Occoquan was almost too easy to get used to, but no matter how perfect everything felt down there, New York was calling her back. In just a few more months, she would need to get back to school and back to real life. She sat at the receptionist's desk, reading a book Nahira sent her and taking notes, while everybody in the back of the salon was doing their wardrobe change for the club.
So glad that I found you, boy. I've been feeling for you. I'm so happy, baby. Boy, you got me feeling so good. You take all my pain away from me. Without you around, I couldn't.
After her phone buzzed with a text, she slipped her things into a bag, then stepped over to Yanni's, pausing in the mirror. Her straw set had came out perfect. Loose little curls pinned up in a soft, elegant style, with just a few spirals left out to frame her face. Yanni stood beside her, slipping into a crop jacket and eyeing Sonia's outfit. She was wearing a deep purple taffeta dress with a gold sheen that shifted under the light.
I see you changed your clothes. You changed your mind about coming to the club?
Nah, Nate's on his way. Yanni laughed.
Oh, now I see why you had me switch up your hair.
I just wanted something different.
Yeah, all right.
Yanni smiled.
Well, you look cute. What y'all got planned?
We went out to eat. He said it somewhere nice. Sonia smiled. Then she followed Yanni's gaze over to Nate's 6-foot-something frame stepping through the door. All eyes were on him the same way they always were when a man showed up. Heads turning and eyes sliding over strong jawlines and broad shoulders like they were starving for masculine energy. But as Sonia met him near the couches, their eyes lingered, and a few of them were chatting among themselves. I think they recognize you. Sonia laughed, sitting beside him on the couch. Nate nodded like he was used to it. His eyes swept the room once. He spotted Yanni and gave her a nod hello. Then his eyes locked on Sonia again. How is it that everybody recognizes you, but I didn't?
When you first came into my office in Chinatown, I was surprised you didn't recognize me.
Why, it wasn't like you was a rapper. You just made beats. He laughed and Sonia did too. You know what I mean. Then his gaze shifted away from Sonia, focused on something else. She looked over at the flat screen too. It was muted on MSNBC. Right there on the screen was Finkelstein in handcuffs, head hanging low while cops marched him into the precinct. The bottom of the screen read, "Millionaire financier arrested for sexual abuse and trafficking." Sonia wasn't shocked. "Nate, did you know about this?" He just shook his head. Then an old woman in a suit appeared on the screen. She was sitting beside a blonde girl who looked like she'd seen way too much. Later, Nate took Sonia to a steakhouse that looked like something straight out of a movie, with dim lights and candles flickering off polished wood. They got full off of lobster swimming in garlic butter and crab-stuffed sea bass, eating like they were royalty. Sonia sat across from him, fork in hand, thinking this couldn't possibly be her life. Not after everything. It felt like she had slipped into somebody else's seat at the table, in a dream where things actually went right. Outside of the little bubble of candles and soft music, the world was blowing up. Louise and Stanton wouldn't be able to keep their secrets buried anymore. Finkelstein's dirty deeds were being plastered all over the news, and for once, there would finally be justice. Later, Sonia and Nate shook off the chill of the cool spring night and settled into Yanni's warm living room. They went back and forth about the headlines until Sonia changed the subject, twisting at the waist to look at Nate holding out that engagement ring. "Just from looking at this, how much you think it's worth?" she asked casually. He picked it up, turning it in his fingers like a jeweler.
80,000.
"Close," Sonia mumbled. "I got it appraised and the lady told me 125,000. She said platinum hit a record last year."
This is platinum.
He stared at the ring. "Yeah, it's gold-plated platinum. The jeweler said it's what men do when their girlfriends wear yellow gold, but they want to prove a point." Nate didn't react, just stared at Sonia like he was reading her. "I don't want it anymore. I just want to get rid of it," she made a face. "The place I got it appraised doesn't buy jewelry, though. And Yanni said if I took it to a pawn shop, they might lowball me." Nate nodded.
I know a diamond dealer back in New York. All the rappers used to run to him when they were going broke and needed to sell off their chains. He's solid. He'll give you top dollar.
"Take it to him for me. And just keep whatever I owe you from the credit card. I've been going a little crazy down here shopping with Yanni."
Sonny, I didn't give you the card and ask you to pay me back.
"I know, but the business might slow down, and it makes more sense to..."
Stop counting my money.
he said, gentle but serious.
The firm is fine, and even when it's not, I'm good.
"I know."
Why is it so hard for you to accept stuff? Like you think you don't deserve it.
Sonia shrugged with a laugh, trying to keep it light. "Maybe that's another thing I bring up in therapy."
You seeing a therapist?
"Yeah, Yanni hooked me up with her doctor, and it's been real good talking to her. I found a church, too. A good one."
Sound like you doing real good down here.
"I am." She smiled. Then her expression shifted, becoming serious. "But what about you? How are you doing?" He stared at her like he didn't understand the question. "Every time I call, you're busy with work, even when we speak late at night, and you never take a day off."
I'm taking a day off right now.
"No, not really. You came down here to give me more updates on Javier and the case."
That's not why I came down here. I'm spending time with you.
He said it like he meant it, and his eyes locked in on hers, making her smile. "I still think it's crazy that you flew down for dinner and you're leaving in the morning." She shook her head. I mean, this is hardly any time at all.
So I should stay longer.
Yeah, she shrugged.
I would, but I got work to do.
When was the last time you had a day off? He thought about it.
Our trip to Israel.
You can't be serious. He nodded.
I've been working on this stand case for months now. And before that, I was looking for you. When I got back from Syria, I started looking for you that same night. I just knew that something wasn't right. I couldn't even sleep.
That's how I felt too. Back when we were in the desert, and even worse when I got home. The eyes remained locked, and for a second there was silence. Then Sonia spoke again. I'm just saying, you need to take a break, Nate. Whether you stay down here with me or not.
I'll take a break when you come back to the city. I'll clip my whole Sunday so we can go to church.
That made her smile wide. Before long, spring slid right into summer, and Sonia found herself living the kind of life she hadn't had since before her trouble started. For the first time in years, she was breathing easy, laughing deep, and living a peaceful life she thought only belonged to other people. Sonia and Yanni spent the summer running all over town, from block parties in D.C. to county fairs in Virginia, eating anything fried. From funnel cakes to Oreos, all while laughing at kids, screaming their heads off on those raggedy carnival rides. Sometimes Sonia got Yanni to come to church. If she hadn't gone too hard at the club the night before, Yanni would walk in looking half asleep. But once the sermon started going, she'd be sitting there with this soft smile, like something real clicked inside her. Simple but strong. Then, just like that, the days got cooler. A warning that summer would be ending soon. A reminder pushing Sonia back to a reality that this life down in Occoquan wasn't hers to keep. Her real life was back in the Bronx. She had to get back home, back to school, back to the heavy weight of the real world. When it came time for Sonia to go back to New York, Nate showed up early Friday morning in a clean Brenner, already looking like he had the whole day handled. He took Sonia and Yanni out to eat before the airport. Yanni did most of the talking, cracking jokes about Sonia moving down there for good, while Sonia laughed right along. The girls kept everything light and fun, like if they joked enough, they could freeze the clock and stall their goodbye. Back in Yanni's driveway, the girls hugged each other tight, promising regular phone calls and monthly visits. Then, Nate opened the passenger door like second nature. Sonia slid in, and they were off, watching Yanni shrink, smaller and smaller in the rearview, until the street bent and she was gone. When they finally got to New York, Nate didn't drop Sonia off in the Bronx. She would be staying with Gloria out in Queens that weekend, helping her get ready for the move back home. But instead of packing the next day, Sonia and Gloria was still clinging to the last of that vacation feeling and pretended the empty luggage in the corner wasn't even there. They spent most of the day sitting down on the beach, enjoying the sunshine and cool breeze, talking about everything and nothing at all. Then back upstairs, reality hit. It was time to pack. Sonia was zipping toiletries into plastic bags, while Gloria just stood in the middle of the living room like she was in a trance.
I really loved it here.
She said for the fourth time in 1 hour, then let out a loud sigh like it hurt.
Having the ocean right in my backyard and that dishwasher. Now I gotta go back to scrubbing pots in the sink like a peasant.
Sonia cracked up. I feel you, Ma. Yanni's place was starting to feel like home. But at least in the Bronx, we'll be close to family, all our friends, our church family too. Gloria raised one eyebrow.
Yeah, that's all nice. But friends and church family don't come with an ocean view.
No, but they do come with Bible study. Sonia shot back, grinning. Then, like it was nothing, she slipped in. Nate's coming to church with us tomorrow. Gloria's face lit up with a genuine smile.
That'll be nice.
Sunday morning came bright and clear. One of those mornings in the Bronx where the streets already felt awake before most people even rolled out of bed. With Gloria and Nate beside her, Sonia stepped into the sanctuary, collecting hugs from nearly everybody. From the ushers in their crisp uniforms and white gloves, to the mothers crowned in bright, colorful hats. Nobody knew about the drama she'd been through. They just knew she had been gone, and now she was home again. As the choir lifted their voices and the congregation joined in to sing, Sonia thanked Jesus for coming back for her. After the blood on the sidewalk, then the panic attacks, he was right there. After trying to fill the emptiness with clubs, bottles, and hollow love, his grace kept whispering that she was still his. When witchcraft tried to draw her in, his blood proved stronger. When she was pulled into carrying someone else's poison, his hand pulled her back. Back when she was running after her father's killer and begging him to take her back, God was already writing her rescue story. Through every storm she thought would drown her, he never let her go. His mercy outlasted every wrong turn. He came back for his lost sheep.
I heard Gladys Knight sing this song the other day. But there's never been a time in my life he didn't bring me through. I changed the words. If anyone should ever write my life story, for whatever reason, there might be. Now, I don't know who Gladys Knight was talking about, but you know what? Jesus is the best thing that ever happened. Jesus is the best thing, yes, he is, that ever happened. Church, Jesus is the best thing that ever happened to me. That's why I tell you tonight, yeah, Jesus is the best thing that ever happened. Yes, it is. Jesus is the best thing. Is the best thing that ever happened. Yeah, Jesus is the best thing that ever happened to me.
A few hours later, Sonia and Gloria were upstairs at Nate's for dinner, the penthouse looking even more beautiful than Sonia's first visit.
This is beautiful.
Gloria commented, her eyes moving all over the table set like a five-star restaurant with crystal stemware and polished silver. Then she asked Nate's mother,
You did all this?
Yes, for our guest of honor, for family.
Nahira walked out of the kitchen first, apron still tied, and pulled Sonia into a hug. Her eyes held the same mix Sonia saw in Sister Gandhi earlier, happiness with worry underneath it.
How are you feeling?
Nahira asked. I'm better, Sonia said and meant it. An older couple stepped over. Then Nahira introduced them and they gripped Sonia's hands tight.
Thank you.
The uncle said, voice thick.
God used you to help us, and we won't forget.
Sonia squeezed back. Then Nate, his little sister Nisha, and Nahira's husband Asif joined them in the dining room. Everybody standing around the table joined hands as Nate's uncle said grace. The food came out in courses, and it tasted like it was made by a professional chef. Bright salads, warm bread, and roasted lamb with a creamy sauce on the side. When the table was cleared and the tea came out, Sonia and Nate stepped onto the balcony. Below, the ocean stretched out, endless and black. Sonia stood hugging herself as wind sliced through her thin sweater. In silence, they watched their mothers on the couch, laughing together like they were hosting their own talk show. "What do you think they're talking about?" Sonia asked.
Probably us.
Sonia smiled, then turned to stare out at the waves. "I didn't understand why you chose to stay all the way out here instead of Manhattan, but now I get it. Growing up next to the beach must have felt like paradise." That made Nate laugh. Then he explained, "Or Rockaway wasn't paradise. Just a poor neighborhood with nice views. Back then, he couldn't stand it. It was so far from the city, it barely felt like New York, and all he wanted to do was to move away from there." It wasn't until he got older that he started to appreciate it, saw what the place could be, so he decided to put his money into it, making sure everything was top tier, not halfway, not cheap. He turned it into something affordable, but also something the hardworking families in his building could be proud of. The kind of lifestyle rich Manhattanites acted like was reserved only for them. Sonia watched his eyes light up, the same way they always did when Nate talked about helping people. That mix of pride and purpose that made it clear this wasn't just business for him. "Well, you did a good job, because this building looks better than half the stuff in Manhattan." She shifted her eyes from him, looking out at the water again. "You did a good job with the place in Brooklyn, too. Or was that Nicole's work?"
That was me.
"You mad she took that place in the divorce?"
She didn't take it. We got a prenup.
Sonia studied them. "So you gave it to her?"
She had nowhere to go, and I didn't want to see her on the street.
Her brow lifted. She had nowhere to go with a millionaire brother?
Jay's accounts were frozen during this case, so I let her stay, and I moved into another spot I had in Soho.
She nodded. That was nice. You were always looking out for everybody.
You do the same.
He said, like he wasn't just returning a compliment.
You had me track down Yanni just to make sure she was okay. And after we found out what Blue did, you called me to make sure his baby mother was safe. After everything that went down, you wanted to warn her.
She shrugged it off, like she was uncomfortable being the center of his praise. Anybody else would have warned her too.
Nah, most people wouldn't have cared.
He said it with certainty.
They don't worry about people they don't know, pregnant or not. This world is cold.
Sonia nodded. Nobody had to tell her the world was cold. She learned that lesson the hard way more than once. Then her mind drifted to memories of Lucky. For once, the pain stepped back, and only the good moments came forward. That fairy tale baby shower, and all the plans she had for her baby boy. Lucky was gonna move out here, Sonia reminisced with a smile. Into that cute little house from the pictures you snapped of Blue. She was so excited when she showed me that house. She really did want her happy ending. Sonia's smile faded. Down in Virginia, Yanni said those happily ever afters don't happen for girls like us. Those kind of endings are for girls from some other place.
You believe that?
To be honest, I'm not focused on it anymore. If it happens, it happens. She shrugged. What about you? You think you'll ever find the one? Nate didn't even flinch, just nodded. Look at her dead in the eye like he already knew.
I prayed that God would send me my wife, and I got faith that it'd happen. Patience and faith.
Sonia smiled slightly. Then Nate's phone started going off. He flipped it open and stepped inside, disappearing up a hall. When he came back a few minutes later, his face was tight. He told her the news. Finkelstein was found dead in his cell. gone before anyone could drag him into a courtroom. Sonia nodded. Stanton got rid of him, shut him up before he could talk. Then her stomach dropped. Nate, I don't want you to work on my father's case anymore. He stared at her, caught off guard. Close my father's case and stay away from those people. He shook his head like he couldn't believe she would even ask him that.
You know this is too big for me to walk away from. Too many people's lives are on the line.
Yeah, and if you keep looking into them, your life would be on the line too. He was silent for a second, then asked,
And what about Javier? If we don't take the case to the feds, he'll walk.
I've been thinking that Javier might not be a problem. Nate's face twisted in confusion, looking like he misheard. Then Sonia continued, You said yourself you didn't think he was coming back to the city.
Yeah, but my plan was to find him wherever he went. You don't want him to pay for what he did?
I do, but get Javier locked up is not going to bring my father back. Nate's eyes stayed on hers. Then he nodded like he got it.
You still in love with him?
It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. And Sonia felt anger heating in her chest. I am not in love with Javier.
Then why are you looking out for him?
I'm not looking out for him. I'm looking out for you, she said, calmer now. Locking him up just so he can pay is only going to put your life in risk. Nate, if those people knew you were looking into them, they'd kill you just like they did Finkelstein and Rashad.
We already knew the risk.
She glanced inside at the mothers on the couch. When Javier left out of that lake house to go after Tony, all I could think about was Teresa ending up all alone. She moved her hand to his forearm, holding him tight. You escaped from Syria with your life, but now that you're back, you're ready to throw yourself back into the line of fire. If something happens to you, all of our worlds will fall apart. Nate stared into her teary eyes, but didn't budge.
I'm not closing the case.
She released him, then turned away, and Nate continued on.
I won't stand by while more girls become victims.
You can't save the world, Nate, she sighed.
Sonny, I'll be fine.
The last time you said that, you ended up detained at Syria, and I had to beg Louise to get you out. He was a silent brick wall again. I'm not coming back to the firm. Her voice cracked as she slid a key off her ring and pressed it into his palm. She turned for the door, but before she could slide it open, Nate was calling her name. He handed her a slip of paper, then she unfolded it. A check from the diamond dealer for $150 grand. Without a word, she tucked it into her pocket and went back inside. Going over to Gloria and placing a hand on her shoulder, telling her that they should go. The following night, Sonia and Gloria were back in their house, falling back into their old routine. The rooms felt smaller after months away, but it still felt like home. In the kitchen, Sonia pushed leftovers into the fridge while Gloria stood at the sink, sleeves rolled up, scrubbing dishes.
I already miss my dishwasher.
I can have one put in. I'm planning on making a whole lot of improvements around here, Sonia said, her voice soft. Gloria shot her a confused look.
Why are you trying to do improvements?
Because we can create our own luxury place right here in the Bronx, Sonia said with a smile. Gloria made another face, then shook her head like, yeah, right. You'll see. It'll be nice. Then after noticing that Gloria's face was still a little frowned up, Sonia asked, Are you scared being back here because of Rico and Javier?
Not really. I wasn't comfortable being here after I first got the news, but Nate said Javier's out of the country and Rico was likely dead.
She wiped her hands on her jeans.
I just don't want you thinking you need to fix up the place when I may be selling it soon.
You want to sell the house?
I've been thinking about moving for a few years now. It's dirty and crowded here, and this neighborhood is getting worse every day.
Then she got this peaceful look on her face.
For a rockaway I can breathe, I really love my apartment.
Nahira's apartment.
Nahira lives in Manhattan. That place was mine.
She joked, and Sonia couldn't help but laugh too.
I spoke to Nate about renting an apartment in his building. Something smaller, you know? Just 2 bedrooms. But he said Nahira's place is the only empty unit there. Said there's a whole waiting list to move in.
Sorry to hear that. I guess you'll have to stay here with me. Sonia smiled, but Gloria was still standing there with that peaceful look.
No, Nate told me that I could have Nahira's old place if I wanted it. He tried to give it to me for no charge, but I insisted. Then we agreed to a very reasonable price.
So you already told him you would move in? Sonia asked with shock.
No, not yet, but I am thinking about it. Maybe after I sell the house.
You can't sell this place, it's his home.
Sonny, you were the one talking about moving in with Jasmine or living on campus.
Sonia was silent. Then Gloria smiled and spoke in an optimistic tone.
If you changed your mind about living close to school, you can always stay with me out in Queens. There's more than enough room.
No, thank you, she mumbled.
What did Nate do that was so bad? You two went from being good friends at dinner to you not even telling him goodbye.
He won't let Daddy's case go. Gloria's face balled up in confusion.
That sounds like a good thing.
The people behind it are dangerous, and they'll kill anyone in their way. I want Nate to stay out of it, but he won't listen. Gloria looked at Sonia with sympathy. Then before she could respond, a soft knock rattled the front door. The sponge slipped from Gloria's hand, and she froze, eyes darting towards Sonia. I'm sure it's okay, Ma, Sonia sighed, heading up the hall. Who is it? She called. A male voice answered, but it was too muffled for her to understand. She squinted through the peephole, and it was like seeing a ghost. It was Rico's face, warped and distorted inside the tiny circle. She froze, but as he leaned closer, she got a better look. Different features, different facial hair. Then finally she breathed again. It was Oscar, not Rico, standing on the stoop. She cautiously cracked open the door.
Sonny.
He smiled warmly, arms extended for a hug. She eased outside, closing the door softly behind her. Then Oscar pulled her in tight like she was an old friend.
How have you been?
I'm alive, she shrugged. You living in New York now? She asked with him over in confusion. His smile faded.
I'm here looking for Rico. I haven't heard from him in months.
I haven't heard from him in a while either. Not since last winter. He nodded slowly, and his jaw clenched.
I think something's happened to him. Last time we spoke, he told me he was moving back to Cartagena. Then he just went silent.
His eyes moved over Sonia.
He was staying with some girl, an ex named Alexandria. I spoke to her, and she claimed he stormed out after she showed him this.
He pulled out that photo of Sonia and Javier. She shook her head, staring at it. Why would Drea even show him this?
She claimed she just wanted Rico to know about it. But I think she was just meddling, upset that he came back for you, and even more upset that he was leaving because you turned him down. I figured she was just mad that he still wasn't over you, and thought that seeing this would do the trick.
Sonia handed him the photo, and Oscar went on.
Alexandria said Rico stormed out, and she figured he was leaving to speak to Javier or to you.
Rico didn't come speak to me about any of this. and today is the first time I'm seeing that picture. You spoke to Javier?
I can't find him. He's disappeared too. Not a coincidence. Have you heard from him lately?
No, I haven't. Oscar nodded, lowering his eyes, the worry clear on his face. Then he pulled out a pen and scratched his number across the back of an old receipt.
Call me if you hear anything about Rico or Javier.
She slid his number into her pocket. Eyes followed him as he stepped down the stoop. Sonia could feel it again. That cold, familiar feeling was back, heavy in her chest. Days turned into weeks, and soon the season shifted. Fall arrived, and Sonia went quiet on everything but school and God. Sundays at church with Gloria, midweek Bible study with Sister Yanni, then Friday nights teaching youth group down in the basement. She set out boxes of pizza and dragged over chipped folding chairs, then spoke to a handful of kids who'd seen too much and grown up way too fast. She saw herself in all of them. The nights still got quiet sometimes, the kind of quiet that tried to pull her mind back into those old memories, but she pushed through. School and church gave her a schedule, and that schedule gave her peace. But while Sonia was finding peace, Nate was at war. The case stayed under his skin. He still hadn't slowed down, not for a second, not with Javier floating around, and Rico vanishing like he was never even there. Stanton's case kept twisting open new corners, and Nate followed each one with a kind of focus that made people wonder if he even slept. So, life split like that for Sonia and Nate, both of them in different lanes now, going in opposite directions. Sonia holding on to God, to school, and to kids who looked up to her like she knew everything, while Nate chased down shadows across the city, digging up the dirty deeds of men who thought they couldn't be touched. Both of them moving forward, just not together.
See, first of all, I know these so-called players wouldn't tell you this, but I'ma be real and say what's on my heart. Let's take this chance and make this love feel relevant. Didn't you know I loved you from the start, yeah.
A few months later, it was finally time for Anna's big day. The weather showed up warmer than anyone expected, like even it was celebrating. The wedding took place in a cute venue Pam found out in Yonkers. Inside, the space was decorated in shades of soft gold and lavender, with flowers tucked into every corner beneath low lights. Anna glided down the aisle beside her father, long train trailing behind them like water. She was beaming. Sonia stood with the other bridesmaids, dressed in lavender, unable to stop her smile from spreading. The vows came, sweet and short, next the kiss, then the applause as the couple stepped into their new life. Later at the reception, the DJ had the music thumping, and guests two-stepped across the dance floor. Sonia sat at the long table reserved for the wedding party, grinning as Anna danced across the floor with Freddie. At another table, Aunt Pam and Uncle Raphael were wrapped up in each other, trading quiet words and leaning in close, talking the way couples do when the rest of the world fades out. It was the kind of closeness Sonia could feel even from across the room. She scanned the place for her mother and instead spotted Jasmine and Naji, cornered by Sister Gandhi, who was no doubt asking if they would be walking down the aisle soon. From there, Sonia spotted Gloria just a few seats away, laughing it up with Nate. He was chatting with her mother like he belonged there, and confusion hit Sonia first. Then annoyance bubbled up as she wondered what he was doing there, invading her world. That irritation didn't last though. She caught herself watching him and noticing the way he spoke to her mother. His face, usually unreadable, opened up with a smile that caught her off guard. And when his eyes shifted to Sonia's, they brightened even more. She broke the eye contact first, dropping her gaze. And of course, that's when Yanni plopped down beside her, voice already loud.
Nate is here.
I can see that.
Well, you're not going to talk to him?
No, and I don't even know what he's doing here. Yanni smiled wide, then said out of breath,
I should call him over here.
Yanni, you better not.
Girl, calm down. I'm just playing. If you want to sit over here alone, staring at him and not speaking, that's up to you.
Then, as another one of Yanni's songs came on, she shot up and jogged back over to the dance floor. It turned out Yanni didn't have to wade Nate over, because when Sonia glanced back in his direction, he was up and already headed her way. She pretended not to see him stepping over in his perfectly tailored suit. Instead, she stared straight ahead while he pulled out a chair, sitting close beside her.
What's up, Sonny?
Hey, Nate. She gave him a small smile, shifting in her seat, but still looking straight ahead at the dance floor. What were you and my mother talking about? Her big move next month?
Yeah, she can't wait to move back in.
She's been talking about Nahira's place ever since she left. Sonia flashed a smile that lit up her whole face, bright white against her black skin, and Nate couldn't look away. His gaze shifted into something rare and warm. Then he asked,
You moving in too?
No. I'll be 21 soon. I figure I should move out, get my own place.
That's the only reason you're not moving in? Or is it because you don't want to be near me?
That too, she joked.
I still can't believe we went from being best friends, saving each other's lives, to you just cutting me off.
I had no plans of cutting you off. I thought you'd see how serious I was, then called the next day, telling me you dropped the case. She admitted. But you never called, and after a while I just figured us not talking was for the best. He looked confused. I didn't want to get any closer to you, only to lose you later because you were too stubborn and got killed.
Get closer to me.
He asked, like he hadn't heard the other part. Sonia rolled her eyes. I'm just saying, I don't see things ending well. Investigating a case when you know the outcome. Then she looked at him with a little hope in her eyes. Or did you already drop the case?
Sonny, I won't stop until I put Nate in the way.
Or until you get killed, she said, looking like she was going to cry. Nate placed his fingertips on her chin, turning her face to his with a gentle guidance so she could stare straight into his eyes.
I won't get killed,
he said with confidence, like he somehow can control that kind of thing. Their eyes were still locked even after he pulled his hand away. Then Sonia broke the silence. I think Javier told Luis that I know about the shooter. Nate stared at her, waited for it to continue. He paid off this semester. I went into the bursar's office with the money from the ring ready to pay. But when I got in, they told me my balance was 0. Michael had some scholarship from one of Rita and Luisa's foundations. They know that I know, and now they're trying to pay me off. Keep me from going to the cops about what Javier did. Nate didn't respond, just pushed his chair back and stood, telling her to come with him so they could talk. Outside, the block was dead quiet, and nothing but a row of shutter storefronts lined the street. The only sound out there was the music and laughter of the reception, now just muffled to a low hum.
Why wouldn't you tell me about Luis trying to pay you off back when it first went down?
He asked, voice getting tight. If I would have told you, what could you have done?
I could have been looking out for you, making sure you was good.
She looked past him to the street light, buzzing over his Bentley. You worry too much, Nate. They sent me that money hoping I wouldn't go to the police, which we both know I'm not gonna do.
From now on, no more being stubborn. If something happens, you call me.
I will, she said, shooting him a hard stare. And you dropped the case.
I'm not dropping the case.
She rolled her eyes, arms tucked in tight. Then he continued.
But since you think they want you, I'll pull back on the investigation to keep you safe.
She started to cheese.
But Sonny, the investigation will go on. I'll outsource it to an investigator I can trust. Somebody good who won't get themselves killed.
If handing the case over to somebody was an option, you could have did this from jump.
Whoever I hire won't work as hard as I would. This case is important, and I want to make sure it's done right.
I know, Nate. She sighed, a smile creeping back onto her face. But she really could have done this a long time ago, and we could have avoided all this.
We could have avoided all this if you trusted that I knew what I was doing.
His expression softened as he noticed her light smile, like something heavy had just been lifted off her back.
You already look less worried.
I am. She nodded, noticing his closeness and feeling the heat radiating from his body. Nate continued on and admitted,
I wanted to call you.
Me too, she said, eyes going soft. Then before she knew it, he was unlocking his car with a chirp and reaching into the back seat. What is this? She asked as he placed a large gift box into her arms.
Early birthday gift.
He said casually, waiting for her to open it. She slipped off the satin bow, popped open the box, then let out a laugh. He took the box after she pulled out a coat, like the one she had before, the one she loved so much she never returned to him, the one she regretted leaving at the lake house 9 months ago. Same thick tweed and dark navy blue. But as she slipped it on, she realized it was cut for a woman, with sleeves that fit, not so long that she had to cuff them back at the wrist.
I was going to give it to you later before I left. Tell you to wait until your birthday to open it. But you look cold.
I love it. It's so warm. She looked down at the fit and flashed a smile. Thank you. Nate didn't answer right away. He just watched her, eyes moving over the coat, hugging her slender frame like it was made just for her.
I miss you.
I miss you too. His hands moved into her satin-bound coat, wide palms moving over the curve of her waist, making her stomach flip. She draped her arms over his shoulders, and he pulled her in. His solid arms wrapped tight around her frame, locking her close. She melted into him, eyes closed, as the chill of the night disappeared, and nothing was between their bodies but warmth. Suddenly it felt like everything was finally falling into place, like right there in his arms was where she was always meant to be.
I just wanna go back, way back, all the way back. We started do it over, can we straighten it out, can we work it out? 'Cause I don't wanna be without you. I don't wanna leave without you. I don't wanna go without you. So shoot, I don't wanna be alone.
Meanwhile, down in Chinatown, Luis was in the back of his town car, checking his watch. Javier had picked the spot, and of course, he was late. Luis was about to pull out his cell to call again, then a huge charter bus pulled up. The door swung open, and then a bunch of people stepped off, along with Javier. The brim of his fitted Yankees cap, sitting low, almost blocking his eyes. Javier climbed into the back seat without a word. Then Luis instructed his driver to take them to the townhouse. Javier was silent at first, still no explanations for where he'd been for so long, or why he was rolling back into the city on a broke-down Chinatown bus. His attention stayed out the window, eyes taking in the familiar streets. At first, when Sonia told Javier that she wouldn't go to the cops, he figured she was lying, just telling her what he wanted to hear so he would let her go. But almost a year later, no reports had been filed, not in the city or upstate. He smiled to himself. Sonia was for real. Everything between him at the lake had been real. The meals made with love, all that quality time, Sonia had actually come around. If it wasn't for those PIs coming up and getting in their business, everything would still be good. For months now, Javier had replayed it over. The morning that started off so normal, easy, and slow. That warm house that he missed, the home they made together.
You still don't want to tell me what went down with you, Miss Sonia? Running off to that lake house? Then her quitting without a word?
Luis asked.
Why are you asking me to send her money? And now you showing up in Chinatown?
Just some drama. Nothing important. Now that I'm back, we gotta straighten it all out.
That same night, Oscar was in the boarding line at JFK, feeling defeated. He'd been there way too long and was finally giving up his search on Rico and Javier. Then, as he inched toward the ticket agent with his boarding pass ready, his phone began to ring. A call from his sister Beatrice. He answered it, confused. At the last minute, he pulled back his boarding pass and turned from the gate. An hour later, Oscar approached the nurse's station, with his shoulders still tense from the ride over. He leaned in slightly over the counter, his voice low and his accent thick.
I'm looking for Carlos Salazar.
The nurse looked up from her paperwork, her warm eyes staring over smudged readers.
Oh, your family?
She asked, already raising from her chair. Oscar gave her a slight nod.
Yes, I'm his uncle.
That's wonderful,
she said gently, stepping around the counter. Her badge read Rhonda.
We've been real worried about him. Poor thing's been in here all alone.
She started walking, motioning for Oscar to follow.
He hasn't had any visitors, but he's been nothing but sweet to every nurse on his floor. We love him. I mean, not one complaint.
Oscar didn't respond. His eyes were too busy moving from room to room, taking in the machines as he braced himself. As they walked up a corridor that smelled like antiseptic, Rhonda went on. She said it was like everything that could go wrong with him did go wrong. She went on to list a bunch of complications from the bullet ripping into his large intestine, infection, sepsis, medically induced comas, on and on, complication after complication. Oscar glanced over at the lady with concern.
It was almost like something was out to get him, trying to pull him to the other side. That boy's alive by God's own grace. We were all praying for him.
They turned into a room near the end of the hall. Then Oscar followed her aside.
Things look bad with the machines and all, but he's doing a whole lot better than he was. He'll be ready to leave any day now. Glad somebody came for him, and he's got somewhere to go.
Oscar's hand gripped the strap of his bag as his eyes moved over Rico. Wires snaked from under his hospital gown, leading to the machines that beeped low. He was thinner now, but not as bad as Oscar had expected.
Carlos, you got a visitor.
She smiled sweetly at Rico, and he returned the smile. Then she stepped out, her shoes squeaking off into the distance. Rico lifted a shaky hand and waved his uncle over. Oscar stepped in close, then leaned down so Rico didn't have to fight to be heard. After Rico finished, Oscar stood up straight, face hard, before giving Rico a slow, steady nod, like a promise.